It's quite contradictory that the third largest economy in Europe is struggling to provide for its citizens and people outside its borders, as it's known for having a well-structured government, or at least on paper. It's a country that deeply cares for the environment, and together with its high level of food quality and being a world leader in sustainable agriculture, France seems like a place with opportunities for growth. Except that according to many Frenchmen, the satisfaction appears to get lower day by day. Many Frenchmen express fear and anger, and even contempt. They seem to lack hope when it comes to economic growth, even though they're part of the European Union, which holds the third largest economy in the world. And now, according to Vox, the farmers express frustration and feel pretty angry towards the government. But why do many Frenchmen think that their economic system isn't sustainable in the long run? Why do its citizens feel less optimistic about the future? And why are the protests more complex than it seems? This is France should have been an EU superpower. Now, it's falling apart. But before we look into how many French citizens feel about the economy in France, please hit the subscribe button if you're interested in how even citizens in wealthy countries often lack support and the bare necessities. Now, let's take a closer look at what many French people feel about their economy, not only its citizens, but also for Europe. Surveys show that most Frenchmen have a lack of hope when it comes to their economy, and they feel quite depressed about the future. And according to Visual Capitalist, France is almost at the top of being most depressed about their economic future. And the amount of Frenchmen who think that integrating the European economy was a wise action has decreased by more than 50% over the last years. It seems that the French don't think they get any value for their money, given that their country is one of the three economic giants in the EU. Most people think France has a problem with unemployment and are concerned about inflation. And to top it all off, over 70% of the French are troubled by public debt. The negative thoughts about their economic future also have roots in the agricultural sector. The French farmers are protesting because they say it's impossible to survive economically while protecting the environment forced upon them by the French government. But that's just one part of the problem. Farmers are also worried because of the competition from imports. So, how did France get into this pressured economic situation while being considered to have a stable economy? Like many countries, France struggled during World War II because of the German occupation that caused inflation. But then, post-World War II, also known as Trente Glorieuses, was a booming period for France's economy. This economic growth resulted from the implementing of industrial policies and increased labor productivity. Unfortunately, this industrialization had its downsides, as it led to environmental challenges. It became a significant dilemma for policymakers who were committed to combating environmental issues because it conflicted with the requirement for the capital influx. Later in the 20th century, global concerns about climate change have intensified among the French citizens. Pollution, deforestation, and depletion of natural resources are of great concern, and France has vowed to fight unsustainable imports that contribute to deforestation by adopting a national strategy to combat imported deforestation, as well as unsustainable products by 2030. Besides, in 2022, France reported its hottest year, and in 2023 as the second hottest year. Temperatures soared 2.9 degrees Celsius higher than average, which actually impacted agricultural production. While France's extensive land area provides numerous opportunities for agriculture, its farmers are still protesting. Why are they doing so? Well, modern agricultural practices will eventually lead to a decline in crop yield and cause problems for livestock productivity. Many French farmers resist these EU policies and consider that they'll cause more harm than good. The French economy took a hit in 2023 as its debt reached 3 trillion euros, equivalent to 112% of its GDP, one of the highest levels in Europe. And despite actively paying off this debt, the repayment of such a significant amount is apparently impossible. This financial pressure makes it difficult for the government to invest in infrastructure, education, and other sectors, so an increase in business bankruptcy in 2024 should be no surprise. Another consequence of all of this is that it affects the quality of life for Frenchmen and increases the unemployment rate. It's pretty frustrating, even though this slight rise in unemployment was expected. So, at the moment, the unemployment rate is 7.45%, which is actually higher than the EU average of 6%. The increase in the unemployment level in France has not only limited individual incomes, but also raised political instability, highlighting the fact that the government is unable to create enough employment opportunities. Another aspect of these high unemployment rates is the tax system. It's complex because of its high labor and social contributions taxes. But it doesn't stop there, as many tax rates and exemptions make it even more confusing. It also has a lot of taxes on businesses and what they produce, making it harder for French companies to compete with others worldwide. And looking at it internationally, the complicated taxes pose a barrier to foreign investors, and along with that, a hindrance to economic growth. And whether a person is working or not, they will become older, not being able to work anymore, which is another problem when it comes to the French economy. The overall tendency is an aging population who are facing long-term sustainability challenges for their pension. This necessitates reforms to maintain fiscal stability. And with an aging population who tends to spend more time at home leads to higher energy consumption for heating, cooling, and other household needs, which is a little part of a bigger climate picture. Along with such high temperatures, the precipitation patterns change, leading to tensions over water supplies. One of the most important water supplies in every society is hydroelectric power production. As the precipitation pattern changes, so does the efficiency and output of hydroelectric power plants. And the result is affected agriculture and biodiversity, and signals natural disasters due to drought. While drought is a problem in certain areas, so is heavy rainfall in other areas. Warmer temperatures increase the capacity of the air to hold moisture, resulting in more intense rainfall events. The higher moisture in the atmosphere from such heavy rainfalls can provide enough energy for storm systems to form, leading to unpredictable changes in the frequency of storms. No wonder why France is the European country that is most concerned over food and water supply. And it's been like this over the past few years. However, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, proposed an €18 million plan to save water, which is a ray of hope amidst the water crisis. This plan might fix root problems like major water leaks in the water supply system, but in the rising environmental challenges, these measures remain uncertain. At first thought, these agricultural problems could have been a major problem, and one of the reasons for why French farmers are protesting loudly these days. But it's not, thanks to the occasional heavy rainfall. While economic and environmental issues prevail in France, the farmers are protesting, and they want the government to do more to support them. According to the French statistical agency INSEE, more than 20% of French farmers live below the poverty line and are concerned about the future of their agricultural businesses. And here, the past plays a role. Because after COVID-19, global inflation has led consumers to seek more affordable products. This, along with the competition from cheap agricultural imports from outside the European Union, has become a major challenge for French farmers, forcing them to sell their products for little profit to no profit. One of the countries that France and other EU countries are importing from is Ukraine. And now they're pushing for more restrictions on the amount and types of goods that can be imported, not only from Ukraine, but from other countries as well. Another trade agreement that's frustrating the farmers is the one with Mercosur countries, which have lower import tariffs. So it's become a big threat to French agriculture and a real hurdle for farmers to sustain their businesses. As if this wasn't enough, there's an environmental concern among the citizens regarding emissions from the transport sector. Being the biggest source of greenhouse gas emissions, the transport sector contributes to 30% of emissions in France. Although advancements in technology have introduced electric vehicles, and despite its adoption, air pollution from the transport sector has not decreased. In this long-standing problem, the EU and the French government's regulations are just making things a whole lot worse. Considering the EU's Fit for 55 policy, EU countries' greenhouse gas emissions have agreed to almost double their renewable energy output by 2030. Additionally, EU subsidy rules that require countries to have at least 4% of their farmland unused have not only raised worries among the aging French farmer population, but also created chaos among farming communities of Europe. In a recent move, French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal has taken steps to reduce the financial burden on French farmers. He's also streamlined agricultural regulations by cutting the red tape involved in agriculture. France has a strong labor power and a tradition of protest, so French farmers can raise their voices and secure some of their policies. Yet, such actions may also impact the broader politics of the EU. The growing disagreements between the French government and the farmers extend beyond borders. Calls for a change of course and symbolic emergency measures spread across Europe. Still, there's hope to foster sustainable French economic growth. With a strong industrial base, effective government policies, and educated yet hardworking individuals, France can create a better future for its citizens. However, if effective strategies aren't implemented, these persistent economic challenges can lead to insufficient investment in sustainable practices, raising environmental concerns. While France is considered an economically strong country in Europe, it's still struggling with economic challenges that affect its environment and the agricultural sector. The consequences are reshaping France's role in Europe's economy and putting its reliability under question.